So let's switch it over to football, right? The Commanders just got done with their draft. I just saw something. Have you ever been on a team? Every player, when the season gets done, recognizes that the team will never look the same. Okay, and there's a lot of overhaul every year in the NFL. But Washington right now has turned over 43% of their roster, most in the NFL, and that's before camp and cuts and everything else. Have you ever been part of a team that overhauled like that in one offseason?
Well, no, but you know what's coming. It was just too much talk, and let's start from the ownership, right? Everyone knew that Dan Snyder was going to be out of there at some point in time. So once the new ownership happened, you knew that you're going to see a lot of different faces, a lot of new faces, and then you start working yourself down to the coach. I played for Ron Rivera. I think the world of him. I think he's a great coach. I think he's an even greater person. But we all knew that he was going to be gone as well. And as far as the players, once Sweat and Chase was out of there, I knew that was the starting point of them cleaning the house. I knew that was going to happen because typically you would get rid of one or two of the guys, not both. And so when I saw that happen, I said, "Oh man, there's going to be changes throughout this whole entire process." And it was time, man. It was time because at the end of the day, and I'm from there. That's home. It'll always be home. They're not going to accept being mediocre in that division, especially when they got an opportunity to win now.
For sure. I don't know if we've talked about Jayden Daniels. Obviously, you've watched him. I mean, the guy just won the Heisman, all that. What do you think of Jayden as a pro?
I think that Jayden Daniels is probably the most pro ready. And let me say this, Caleb Williams be exciting because he has the hype and he has the attributes and, the big wow things of what he can do with his legs and arm. As far as NFL ready, I think Jayden Daniels was the guy. And, it's funny that the closer you get to the draft, people start talking about things that don't matter. And there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, right? Now this whole big issue of his elbow. This guy that got plenty of film, has been immaculate in college, tested out extremely well in his pro day and combine and everything else. All of a sudden now he has an elbow that looks weird. It's one of those things where it's like, man, is someone trying to get him to slip? And that happens a lot. But I'm going to tell you, man, he's going to come in there and make changes and put them in a better position. The first practice, the first day he gets under the center because he's that talented.
Do you, as a guy that used to hit quarterbacks for a living, if you saw a guy that back there that looks like maybe he's about 200 pounds, does that weigh on you? Do you try to, all right, I have a chance to really break this dude, or does it not matter who's back there? You're trying to break everybody.
Well, I was always trying to break everybody, but in this day and age, it's hard for you to try to break anybody because you can't hit them.
Yeah.
But I do think this: he has an ability to not only use his arms, his arm strength was just next level, but his legs, and a combination of that is going to be very, very important. And especially this, and if I ever got a chance to talk to him personally, do not be afraid to use your legs to get that first down, to get that touchdown or whatever, especially when you're coming in, trying to learn the playbook. Go make a play first, right? Because if you get told over and over again, you're not a pocket passer, you can't do this, you can't do that, you would do things to try to beat the word that's out there, right? Beat the I can do this. No, go out there and make plays. And that just so happens to be with your legs first, and until you understand the speed of the game, coverages, switches, and you can really get up to par with the NFL standard. Go out there and make plays, and he's capable of doing that. So I hope that Dan Quinn and those guys, when they talk to him, say, look, if you got the opportunity to take off and run and get us that big first down or get us, in a better position, go ahead and do that until the game slows down for you.
I think they will. We're talking with our friend Shawne Merriman here on the BetQL guest line. Of course, you can follow Shawne I've been tweeting at you 100 times now. Hopefully you don't mind. At Shawne Merriman, SHAWNE. And you can check out all the crazy stuff he has going on with the fighting. And he's got Lights Out Sports about to launch, or I guess it's on Roku already. You can watch the big fight coming up in 2 weeks here in May. I got to ask you, man, this draft was interesting in that there wasn't a defensive player picked until I think 17. Did that stun you, or do you think that's just kind of a one-off cyclical nature?
It's the wave. It's just a wave this year and how it went. It was very quarterback and wide receiver heavy, skill position heavy, in my opinion. And we're all starting to see now that, and these teams and organizations are recognizing, you cannot win in this league without a franchise quarterback. You can't. Yeah. This isn't the 2000 Ravens, right, where they averaged 11, 12 points on offense and they went to the Super Bowl. Those days are done. If you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're not competing anywhere. So that's why you've seen these teams jump up and make crazy moves to get their guy. Because if you get your guy, you're going to be set for the next 5 or 10 years or put yourself in a position to win. Now, as far as the defensive players, there's some guys that slipped a little bit who I was like, man, you're past them. But this guy like Latu from USC, I think one that has really not been talked about enough is Chop Robinson out of Penn State. I know he went down to Miami. I think the team's going to look back and say, man, if that quarterback, whoever they moved up to get, and they passed up on that outstanding pass rusher defensive player, it's going to be a nice swift kick in the butt, man, because you got some guys that slid because organizations were so quarterback and wide receiver and skill position heavy that they missed out on some really, really good defenders.
For sure. Chop's from here. He's from Gaithersburg.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know why they call him Chop?
Yeah.
When he was born, he was 14 pounds.
Yeah, I watched him. He should have been a Maryland guy, by the way. So and stayed at Maryland. But it's just one of those things, man. Where I think that him, for example, I got him winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he has that level of talent. But we're seeing now that these franchises are not playing around getting their guy. Under no circumstance they will move up and find that quarterback, because there is no other way to win nowadays.
Totally, man. And some of that I think is kind of rule change driven, frankly, that receivers get off the line a lot freer, quarterbacks are protected every which direction. Like the league has made it such you have to build a team one way. Does it seem like that to you?
No doubt about it. And I do feel this, that the tides will turn. And I'll kind of bring up the Chargers a little bit. And their pick, right, with Joe Alt, the tackle. Jim Harbaugh's mentality is, we're going to run the football and we're going to protect Justin Herbert, right? They already got their franchise quarterback. And, Jim has that old school mentality. They got 2 running backs now in there, with Gus and J.K. Dobbins, that they're setting the tone. They're basically telling everybody, we're running the football, we're stopping the run, we're going to protect Justin Herbert, and the skill positions are going to come next. There will be a wave. And every 5 to 7 years, a position like the running back position will be overlooked. They won't get the respect they want. Remember, 10 years ago, it was a wide receiver. When wide receivers were complaining that they wasn't getting those massive contracts, right. And then it was a cornerback. The cornerback started to get these massive contracts. Why? Because they got to stop these franchise quarterbacks and these top end wide receivers. Then now you got your defensive guys that get the big contract, the pass rush, because now you can stop the guy that's throwing the football. So every 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a positional change that makes a position either more important or way less important.
Shawne, we always appreciate your time, man. Everybody check out Lights Out Sports. And what's the fight in 2 weeks?
Yep, the fight's in a few weeks now. May 18th, we'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV. If you guys got any one of those major TV platforms, download the app. If you got an Android or Apple, download Lights Out Sports TV. But by the end of this week, we'll have more and more channels, and we're consistently getting better. And it's free. That's the main important part. I want to tell everybody, it's 100% free.
Man, keep building, dude. It's very impressive. Thank you for the time, buddy.
You got it. Thanks for having me.